Look, right now something is happening in the mortgage world that hasn't happened all year, and it could mean real money back in your pocket. But before I give you that silver lining, let's break down what shifted and why it matters. Now, I'm going to reveal the big takeaway at the end. On August 22nd, mortgage rates slipped again, landing at 6.52% for a 30-year fixed loan. That number may not sound earth-shattering at first, but it does represent a turning point that we've been waiting for all year. For months, rates have hovered stubbornly high, but this week we saw a tenth of a point drop. That definitely doesn't sound like a lot, but when you apply it to a $400,000 loan, it's the difference between making ends meet or feeling stretched too thin. This isn't happening in a vacuum. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell spoke at Jackson Hole just days before, signaling that interest rate cuts could be on the horizon. Bond markets reacted, and when bonds rally, mortgage rates typically ease down. That ripple effect landed on today's numbers. So let's talk about how this shift is so important. On the positive side, lower rates mean more affordability for buyers. That extra room in the monthly budget can make a dream home more attainable. It also hints that we may be entering a period of rate relief if the Fed follows through with a cut. And finally, it boosts consumer confidence. Stock markets already reacted with optimism, and that kind of sentiment can fuel the broader economy. But there are cautions too. 6.5% is still expensive compared to the 3% world we lived in just a few years ago. And this dip might be temporary. It's tied directly to Powell's comments, and the next inflation report or jobs data could erase those gains overnight, and affordability challenges remain. Even with slightly lower rates, home prices are high and inventory is tight, which means many families are still priced out. What does this mean if you're out there shopping for a home right now? For buyers, even a tenth of a percent matters. Looking at a loan at today's lower rate could save you hundreds every year, and over the life of the loan, potentially tens of thousands. For homeowners who bought at the higher rates, it's a window to explore refinancing. But remember, refinancing only makes sense if the savings outweigh the closing costs. And for those of you on the sidelines, this may be a signal to prepare. If the Fed cuts rates again in September, we could see borrowing costs ease further, creating many more opportunities. All right, so here's the silver lining I teased at the beginning. This 6.52 average rate, it isn't just a small dip. It's actually the lowest level of the entire year so far. We've officially hit the floor for 2025, at least up until this point. That means right now, today, we're looking at the best borrowing conditions we've had all year. Now let's zoom out. Rates are falling, but the overall story hasn't changed. Affordability is still stretched, sellers still hold power in many markets, and buyers are still fighting uphill. This small dip doesn't erase years of rising costs, but it's a moment of opportunity. Think of it like a door that just cracked open. It's not wide open yet, but it's there. The question is, are you prepared to step through it when it opens a little wider? So here's the bottom line. We just touched the lowest mortgage rates of 2025, thanks to a shift in tone from the Fed and optimism in the bond market. The pros are real: lower payments, potential Fed cuts, and a brighter outlook. The cons, though, they're real too. Rates are still high by historical standards, housing is tight, and nothing is guaranteed. This dip could be the start of something bigger, or it could be gone by next week. If you're in a position to act, whether that means buying, refinancing, or simply preparing, now is the time to start paying attention. Because opportunities in real estate don't wait. They appear and then they vanish. The lowest rate of the year is here. The question is, what will you do with it?